Melbourne, where a synagogue has been destroyed in a targeted attack.
And Australia's Jewish community has been left reeling tonight after a Melbourne synagogue, one of the country's busiest, was firebombed.
Yeah, this is a pretty serious incident here. They are treating it as a suspicious.
It's an abhorrent thing to see a place of worship attacked.
I've got to express a number of different emotions today, from sadness, anger, frustration, disgust at this appalling act. But the one thing that I tell you that I'm not, and the rest of the Jewish community is not, is surprised.
When people are hurting and the Jewish community is really hurting, an attack on a synagogue isn't just an attack on that congregation or an attack on a religion. It is an attack on the whole community.
There's anti-Semitism has always been a problem, unfortunately. But since October 7, those within our society who already held those sentiments, that perhaps just simmering under the surface, they've felt emboldened.
It goes back to, the scenes on the steps of the Sydney Opera House on October 9, while you had mobs on the steps screaming out, "Where are the Jews?" and "F the Jews." And, that really set the precedent. It's just been all downhill from there.
We had an attack 13 months ago at another synagogue in Melbourne. No arrests made from that attack, where a synagogue was in lockdown. We've had the largest Jewish school vandalised, where a Jew died on it.
When Jewish people feel afraid to go into the city every Sunday for a year, and they're waving the flags of proscribed terrorist organisations like Hamas and Hezbollah, then it's time for action.
We learnt lessons from the Holocaust. It wasn't just perpetrators, it was bystanders as well. So yes, governments need to step up. They need to go hard and put their foot down so that this sort of sentiment, this sort of behaviour does not further gather momentum, because we're seeing it around the world.
It's been increasing day after day, week after week, of gross inaction and ineptitude and lack of leadership has put us in this place now where I fear that things are only going to get worse.
Since October 7, we've seen an avalanche of one-sided, ill-informed, unrealistic, morally confused positions by this government. And we saw so much of that reiterated again in the very one-sided, deeply disappointing Hawke lecture by the Foreign Minister, claiming somehow an equivalence between Israel's very lawful self-defence with the abhorrent behaviour of Russia and China. And it's the failure to attack the tactics of Hamas, their human shield and human sacrifice tactics, deliberately putting at risk innocent Palestinian lives, that we find the government not focusing on. 1,200 people killed on October 7, 250 hostages. Where's the continued demand for the release of those hostages?
I have two kids, Patricia. I have a young 4-year-old who attends a Jewish kinder. I have a 9-year-old who attends a Jewish school. For the past 14 months, it's been a terrible experience, an agonising experience for parents to drop their kids off at a Jewish installation knowing that they are significantly less safe than other Australian kids.
For so many people within the Jewish community who have dedicated their lives to the broader Australian community, we have contributed very well with our philanthropy, to the arts, creative business, every sphere of Australian life. And for those who have gone silent in the last 13 months, it's sadly been noted that now is your time to stand up.
And there's a wish that governments of all levels and authorities of all levels would have tracked down stronger on this sort of stuff that's been going on for well over a year now.
Laws need to be tightened. It's as simple as that. And people need to be prosecuted. It's not enough just to be brought before a court. There need to be ramifications for this behaviour.
Well, it's hard not to see that there's some type of responsibility from what we perceive in the community as lack of enforcement from the policing agencies, as well as lack of leadership from both the state and federal government.
So governments need to lead, police need to police, and just everyday Australians. We're Australians too. We're a part of this great society, this great country. Stand up for us and call it out where you see it as well.